Hey guys, welcome back to Release the Craftin. Priscilla here, with this little shadow that is also Smokey, who's probably going to leave once I start really talking. But I thought I would do a recap of the ephemera that I've made so far for Shabby Creep 24, because it's been a lot already, and we just started. I haven't even got all the way through halfway because I've just been dinking around. I've come to the conclusion that I need to start simplifying some of my ephemera, so famous last words, that's not going to happen. But I wanted to share with you guys what I've made so far, and then maybe craft a little bit with you guys, since that's what I was doing anyways. And I thought, a craft with me, I haven't done that on the channel in a while, so that would be kind of fun. So we're just going to go through it. I have this bag that I keep all my ephemera in, and then some of my older ephemera. I don't keep all my ephemera, that's crazy. I keep all the ephemera for whatever project I'm working on, either in a box or a bag. It just depends, but I usually use this bag for stuff that I am currently working on that I'm going to put into practice, and I want to make this into a book, so I've been storing it in here. As you can see, I've already done 10, 11, 12 days. This one's not in here because I didn't want to spoil that. I've done 12 days of ephemera so far, and the bag is very nearly full, which is a little bit concerning, but on brand for what we're making here. I may have to make more than one book, but I definitely want to make one nice, big, chunky, just lookbook of Shabby Creep ephemera. So I think that's going to come up eventually as soon as I get it done. But I want to share with you guys what I've made so far, and we'll just go through it, right? So, I've been having a lot of fun with this, you guys. I have been really enjoying seeing what everybody has been making, and the ideas are great. I have also come to understand that Instagram has changed the way it does hashtags. So before, if you were following a hashtag, you would see the recent post or the top post, and then you would just change it to be show me all the posts. But Instagram was no, that's too convenient and simple and straightforward. So, now it's only recent top post. So if you have no likes or 1 like or 2 likes on your post, it will not show up no matter how much you try to put the hashtag in there. And then it just does weird things with hashtags now. The algorithm is entirely screwed, so you can't see stuff straightforward as much as you can before. So if you are posting things and I have not seen it, or given it a like or anything, feel free to tag me on your next post so that I can just catch up on everything that you've posted and see that, because I don't want to miss anybody's post. I just want you guys to know, if I haven't seen it yet, it's not me, it's Instagram. And it might be a little bit me, because I haven't checked it in a few days. But it's a lot of Instagram. I'm going to blame most of that on Instagram. At any rate, so for the first day I did wallpaper. I did a video on that. So I made these really creepy, drippy, gross, rundown house wallpaper tags. And those came out great. I love that. I need to figure an arrangement out. You don't need to see the prompt list. You can look that up on your own. And then the second one, the prompt was windows. So I made this pocket. I have to still make a tag to go in it, but I made this old rundown house wall, you're looking in from the outside, and then there's this little old bit of furniture in there in the house that you're looking into, and it says condemned. So that's what I made for day 2. And then for day 3, for Cozy Cottage, I made the other side of this. This is going to be a signature insert, so it's going to go in there and be a nice big meaty piece of the signature. So I made this drippy, gross, I tried to grunge this up so it looked like an old photo, as opposed to just a bit that I tore out of a book. But it's this old cottage, and then there's this girl whose eyes I scratched out just to be a little bit extra weird. And then I added a little quote here. And then for day 4, I did old paper. And I had this old advertisement paper bag that I tore up to use as part of the collage here. And then I kind of fudged the meaning of old paper, because I had these corset cards from an old project from years ago that I just wanted to get off of my desk and out of my life, essentially. But I thought that they were very shabby chic, and they added a little bit of glam to this little creepy spider, so I turned them into little creepy corset spiders here. And then I added the extra cards that I did some embossing on with this ribcage stamp in this pearlescent green. And it gives it a cool, ghostly, spooky vibe. You can't see because it's not focused. You see that? It's a ghost skeleton. And I thought those came out really cool. Definitely going to bring back that idea at one point. Probably when I do a haunted house type journal, because that was just a really cool experiment that I was not anticipating, and it came out fantastic. I loved it. And I might use it more in the course of this challenge. So those were days 2 to 4. And then this is day 4 is butterfly, or 5 is butterfly. As of the time of this recording, I have not posted the video with this, but there's a video for this coming up soon. I don't know when this video is actually going to go up. I might post it after that video goes up. But for that, I made these belly bands with these like really grungy, burnt up, like crunchy looking butterflies. And I love how these came out. That was just like a fun play with fire and mixed media to get this cool effect. They're all embossed, so they're like nice and sturdy. And then there's some really pretty lace going into these. And that was day 5 for butterfly. Day 6 was all the roses, and that's at the bottom of this bag. So hold on. I'm not going to pull them all out because there's a bajillion, but I'm going to pull a handful out. So I made these really cool Scrabble tile charms. Look at that one. It's got like a little crow foot. And they're like apothecary jars with some rose stickers. So a little romantical apothecary action here. Some of these are poisons, which is fun. Yeah. This is Ipecac, which is funny. To me, maybe. Not to anybody else. But yeah, these came out really great, and I really love them. They're definitely going to be pretty versatile. I think I have more than I'll need to make these books. The little tooth charm is cool. Oh, that's backwards. But I love these charms. So I might add a couple of the extras to my shop as just like a little thing. I might like maybe jewel it up a little bit more and make a couple more charms and just add them as like a pack to my store. I don't know if you guys are interested in that, but I have a lot of these and I have a lot more to make because I really loved this charm in particular. I've been playing around with some altered art. I'm going to do a video for that on my Patreon when I get all my stuff together. But yeah, I've been playing around with this concept, so I was happy to share it with you guys. And then, stay there. It was just a lot of fun, and I have a bajillion, so I gotta do something with them. And then, that was all the roses, and then 7 was soft pastels. I'm sorry, the things are in this bag in a weird way, because I had to, like, whatchamacallit, figure out very creative ways to store things in here without smashing and destroying everything, because it turns out that Shabby Chic ephemera is very chunky, guys. So for soft pastels, I got these paint tags, like these little paint sample tags that you can get at the hardware store, and they're pastel colored. I don't know if that's coming through on camera. And then I painted over them with like an off-white color, and well, I used a crackle medium and then painted over them with an off-white color, and got these really great like crackled backgrounds that I just stamped up and added this like cool ephemera to, and then stitched in a button and some lace. And the thing that I've like realized about doing this like challenge, like the hardest part for me, is that Shabby Chic is a maximalist aesthetic. It really is, and I am by no means a minimalist. My entire body of work will speak to that, I think. If you've been on this channel for any point in time, like any amount of time, then you know that like minimalism is not my vibe. I had some more of those butterflies, so they came in real handy on these tags. So like, yeah, that's my whole vibe, is to do the most with the least, and, you know, try to be extra. But I definitely have hit a wall with like Shabby Chic, because I'm like, that's enough. And then my brain goes, Shabby Chic would do more. And I go, no, I don't want to. So like, I've hit a wall. There is definitely a point of maximalism that is too maximal for me. But that is soft pastels. And then for Shabbier, I'm also not going to drag all these up, because I made a bunch of these page tabs. And both these and this were inspired by something I saw on Pinterest, and I linked those on the video. So like, if you scroll down in the description, you can see the original pins that were the inspiration for these. But these are so cool. I love how these came out. I could not really, like, when I had to actually come down to do the prompts for some of these, I was like, you just write down words and pretend like you already have ideas when you haven't even thought out these words, because I went shabbier. What the fuck does that mean, Priscilla? And it sounded cool when I was typing it all up and putting it on my list. But in actuality, I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means. So what it meant was make page tabs, but shabbier. And I had a lot of fun ratting these up. You may notice at one point I cut my finger, but it's okay. Don't do that. But it's okay for me. I survived. It wasn't like critical. But I love these. I can't wait to like attach them to things. They're gonna look great on the pages. I have a bunch of these because I did them like assembly line style. So like it was just like prepare all the ingredients. In culinary school, we learned that that is mise en place, which is everything in its place, and then just start hammering them all together. So even though it took me forever, it still didn't take me as long as it would have done had I like done them all like in little tiny bits. And I love how they came out. Look at this art, cold and slimy. Okay, so those over there. And then that was shabbier. And then for day 9, I did the video. You guys saw that was my day. We did Lovely in Lace, and I made these little creepy eyeball flowers. I think I'm going to turn these into paper clips, these leftover ones. I've utilized some of them, but I have some left. This is going to be a gigantic paper clip. I don't know what this is going to be. This one might not make the final cut, but these ones are small enough, I think, to make cute little paper clips. But I love how these came out. I love that they're like movable and posable, and they're like red veiny little eyes. And I painted the eyes myself, so I'm a little proud of that. They're definitely creepy looking. So yeah, that was Lovely in Lace. And then for day 10, it was crocheted. And I made these off camera. I did some quiet crafting a little bit just to like de-stress the other day, and some of this stuff was like really fiddly and not camera worthy because I was just experimenting. So like that's why I didn't do videos for these. But this is day 10. This is crocheted. So I made like a page, like a page flipping. And then there's like this backside, which is a little tuck spot. So there is some quotes on here and a little bit of lace on the back. That's not exciting. The exciting part is that I got to use this like really pretty crochet lace and make these little spider webs here, and then do like a bunch of embossing with this it's from Distress. It's from Ranger, the mixed media powder in bone. You can't see that because it's not in focus, but mixed media powder in bone, which is just a fun name. And honestly, guys, I've had this forever, and I have not made a single dent in it. I have another one called Hammered, and it's like a nice rusty brown color, which I want to use it more. But it's, honestly, it's got little bits of fabric in it now. You can make this yourself. Essentially, you do not need to buy this powder. The only thing that makes this powder different than, like, your regular embossing powder is that it also has embossing enamel in it, which, like, I don't know if I can get close enough. Maybe not looking at it through the package would help. Let's see. There we go. So you see those big chunks? That's embossing enamel, and it's just bigger pieces of embossing powder. And you can buy embossing enamel. Stampendous has some. I have some from Stampendous, and it's just big chunks of embossing powder to give you like a more inconsistent sort of blotchy pattern. But in this mix is white and black and little bits of gold and clear, and that's how you get this thing. So you can make your own embossing powder blends. You don't even particularly need to have the embossing powder enamel. That's just how you get the little chunkity bits. And the chunkity bits are annoying to emboss because you have to emboss them from the bottom. Otherwise, they just jump right off because the Versamark does not hold it down. So it's not necessary. You can still get this effect by just sort of sporadically applying your Versamark to do the thing. So like that's the option, and then you get this really cool effect. I don't have a light on. That's why it looks so dark over here. Hold on a second. There we go. There we go. So you can see. No, you can't see. You can see. Maybe there it is. The little gold bits that come through. So it just adds a really subtle, like, sparkly shine. But I really did it just for the grunginess. Because I wanted it to be grungy and look like maybe like chipped peeling paint, maybe. Because I'm going for like a this old house kind of vibe. And then I added these little like fly stickers and this little pretty like floral spider sticker. And it's about to catch that fly, like watch out, Mr. Fly. And then I just added a flower because it's shabby chic. It has to have some kind of like little prettiness to it. And then on this one, same diff, we have this little butterfly skeleton like caught in the web. Another butterfly caught in the web. And then our spider. And it's a particularly gross spider. Yeah, so these were interesting. If I had to do these again, I would make the circles, this like circle, smaller. Because it was an experiment to get this lace to stretch all the way out and then like continue to push it as I was trying to sew it. It was a mess. I could not have filmed this in any way, shape, or form that would have been like reasonable. So if you do the same thing, smaller circle. Because yeah, also I ended up with one side that is tragically a little bit thin, but it's okay. It's being held together pretty well with all the stitching and enamel and all that stuff, just holding it all together. But it's wonkety a little bit, and that bugs the life out of me. Bugs the life out of me. But yeah, I think these are really cool. I want to put something creepy behind it. Probably, maybe. That's my end goal, is to make it creepy, right? But I think they're going to make really cute flips, and I just love this, like, window effect. And that's a lot of time spent talking about this. And then, I haven't done days 11, 12, or 13 yet. Well, I'm partway through 13. This is the point in the challenge where I started skipping around wildly. So now, on day 14, I made these little heart notebook paper clip dangle charm things, and I love how they came out. I think they're great. They're really fun little, like, tiny little notebooks. They're very vampy, so I don't know if they're going to go into this book in particular, because I feel like with the little blood drop accent, they became more vampy than shabby chic, but they still might make it in there, because they're still match. But I love these. This is how this came out. And then I have some other things for later on down the month that hasn't come up yet, and I'm not really going to go over that. But that's everything that I've made so far that I don't want to spoil. Now to reload. So I just wanted to share with you guys what I have made so far so you could see that. And then I thought we would make some more stuff. Or finish up some stuff that I have started in particular, because I started doing the tags or the pockets for day 13 in the garden, and that became an endeavor where the game was try not to cry while you're making this, because mostly because my X-Acto blade has gone dull, and I just find myself in a sea of dull knives, and that made me so sad and so upset, because it became a test of patience to achieve things and to make it happen. And it got so fiddly and so frustrating that I was like, oh no, you can't film this, because what happened, and I'll show you guys in a second what I'm talking about, and it'll make a lot more sense. Let me just get this out of the way. So what happened, grab them, was I started out by being like, hey, let me see what this looks like or how much work this is going to be before I start filming it. So I was going to make the 2 out of the 4 off camera and then make the other 2 on camera. So I started out with these ones because I was like, this is going to be the fiddliest of fiddly things, because the details on these ones were a lot finer than the details on the others. So I was like, okay, do these ones first and then see how it goes, and then you can make the other 2, which is these 2 on camera. But these were so frustrating that I was like, oh no, you gotta do this all on your own, because your arm's gonna be like this the entire time trying to get this all correct, and you're gonna be struggling with a dull blade, which is gonna leave you some raggedy edges, which is fine for the project because it's supposed to be shabby and creepy and, like, you know, grungy looking, but in my soul, it was not okay. So it was so frustrating that I was like, oh, I can't film this. I'll just try to finish them on camera, or like off camera. I'm not sure. And like, what made me really sad was that I originally mocked these up with some drawings. I just drew some anatomy shapes. The bones are easy for me because I've done a lot of bone drawing. Such a weird random fact. But I like put my drawings onto these pockets and was like, oh, I'm gonna give these away as a freebie. It's gonna be such a cute, great idea. And then when I actually did it, I was like, this is monstrous. You're a monster if you expect other people to do this too. Because this took forever. And this nearly killed me. These little teeth nearly killed me. All of this was very fiddly. But to say, if you're interested in getting that freebie, let me know. I'll just pop it up on the blog if there's enough interest. If not, it's going into the forget about this, you never should have attempted this, you're a monster pile. But essentially what this is I have these little envelope templates which ended up needing to get cut down. They were not perfect envelopes. They're little pocket templates, and there's like a shape on here. I cut the shape out, and then I used my Tombow glue. Where's my Tombow pen? Here's my Tombow pen. I use this. It's a Zig. Oh, it's not a Tombow. It's Zig. It says it right here on the thing. Two-way glue, which is a repositionable, like, tacky glue that dries down tacky so that you can do stuff. And then I cut out some acetate, applied the glue to the back, stuck it to the acetate. Using this glue gave me the opportunity to get, like, all the pieces and parts in the right place, especially in places where they snapped. So, like, this little one snapped here, and everything here snapped. So, like, using the repositionable glue gave me the ability to position things where they were supposed to go, and then reassemble them so that they looked somewhat cohesive. And I'm happy with how they came out. I'm not going to say, like, I'm mad at how they came out. It was just, it was frustrating. And so all I gotta do is finish off these tags, and I don't want to get them mixed up because certain ones look better than other ones. So I have a little bit of, like, lace that I pulled out just to top them, because I think a little, like, lacy tops, and then they need a quote to cover up this line, because these are actually postcards from China. I think I got them on, like, AliExpress at one point or something. I'm not going to back them because they're very sturdy postcard weight paper. Also, I just think that that's interesting enough. I am going to ink them, and then I'm going to cover up this quote because all of them have this same quote that is affection is desirable, and I don't know why they have that quote. So I'm going to use my my beautiful horror words, wherever the fuck they are, and then we'll be done. Word, ink, lacy top, done. And then we'll move on to the next thing, which should be interesting because I haven't tried that out either. So this has been a really fun challenge. I've had a lot of like inspiration looking at this, and then I've been doing a lot of like deep dives on Pinterest to like check out shabby chic stuff and see like what inspiration I can pull from that, and that's also been interesting. So it's been kind of interesting. It's one of those things where I'm like, I never in a million years would have imagined that I'd be in this corner of the crafty world looking for inspiration, but yet here I am. And then I find that this challenge is really inspirational because it's really pulling me out of my comfort zone, and then I'm getting like different perspectives on things that I didn't have before, honestly. And watching the stuff that like people are making, the collaborators that are making with me, they're making some really cool stuff, guys. And a lot of it's like, oh yeah, I remember making those in the way long ago, and I just like gave up on making those things or forgot about them as I pushed them like out of my brain for reasons like I don't even know why. Okay, yeah, the back got grungy. Yeah, so for like reasons I don't even know why, I just, you know, forgot about these things as being like viable crafting options. And I think that's probably one of the things I've been enjoying the most about this, is just being like, oh yeah, I could make that, or yeah, that's always been an option for me to make, and I just never really like thought about it after I did it the first time, or like it's something I just haven't done in for years, and you know, those sorts of thoughts and feelings and things. I'm gonna look for skinny-ish ones, just like to cover that up. It's such a funny thing about like the translation bit. I could just use these ones. These ones are all the right size, but is that the vibe? I mean, it's all the vibe, but do I want it to be one word vibe or like wordy words vibe? Let's see. Let's just see. How big is this? That's too small. So the majority of them would be too small. So let's go with bigger quotes. Gonna cut up in here. For some reason, when I made this sheet, I decided that I wanted to have a lot of really small bits, and I think because I kind of knew that like shabby crepe was going to be a very fussy thing, so I was like, you need to have very small things to work with. And then now in the part of like having to cut them all out to use them, I'm annoyed with myself because they're very tiny, which means that they're very fussy to cut out, which I guess is, you know, in the name of fussy cutting, but it is what it is. But yeah, what was I talking about? I was talking about how much I've been enjoying all the people's makes. There's been some really cool creative ideas, so I would definitely check that out. And if you haven't looked at the hashtag, the stuff that other people are making that aren't doing the channel hop, their stuff is really cool too. And then some of the girls who are doing the channel hop are also doing every day of the challenge. Because I left that option open for them to do it if they wanted to join in. And like they're making really cool things too. So yeah, it's been really fun to see. It's been really inspirational, and I am loving every minute of it. I hope that you guys are enjoying it. I definitely think I want to try this again next year too, and bring it back as like a maybe semi-recurring thing until I get tired of this. But it has been one of those things that I've noticed that is really getting me to like look into my stash and be like, oh yeah, you do have all the things to make this, because it's some of the stuff that like I picked up when I first started crafting, because I was under the impression you had to have it, and then I was like, oh, this isn't my style or aesthetic, and it's just been sitting there not getting used. Mostly the 1,100 pounds of lace. So yeah, I'm happy to use that. And I will say, just as like a funny aside in regards to the lace, I coffee dyed a bunch of this lace to get it the right color for this like aesthetic, this vibe that I'm going for. I wanted it to be all like, you know, run down grungy brown color. And what I forgot was that one of my cats, Nico, the little gray cat, is a coffee fiend. And she really likes the smell of coffee. Like whenever I make a cup of coffee, she wants to smell my fingers to see like the little coffee bits that get on her. Not that I stick my fingers in the coffee, I have to actually like touch the spoon and then rub that and then let her smell my fingers so that she can enjoy her little coffee high moment. But yeah, it's just things I do for my cats because I'm a slave for them. It's just fine. I love them. But yeah, she's like a little coffee fiend, right? So she loves the smell of coffee, and she likes to hang out when I'm making coffee and all that stuff. But for the last like the last 2 weeks, I guess, essentially, since I have set up this bag, I've been coming home and looking at this bag of lace like all over the floor, and I've just been like, what the heck? Why? And I noticed the other night when I was doing this like quiet crafting by myself that she is climbing into the bag of lace. I don't want to lose that. And just, you know, sniffing around in there. And when she's sniffed everything she wants to sniff, she goes back and does her own thing, like she's back in her own business. And I'm like, okay, that's an interesting thing I never considered or knew about you. And now I have to look sideways at this bag of lace all the time. And now I've just like got to the point where I just shake it out. So I don't know if you guys know this, but most of my crafts come with a little bit of complimentary cat hair, courtesy of my kitties. And yeah, that's their gift to you. I'm happy to share it. So yeah, no, honestly, I've moved the bag to higher places because it's been fun. But I have brought it down to start doing this crafting so it's accessible. But I had to start moving it because I was like, you can't just keep crawling in here, dragging all this lace out so that you can sniff it and then walking away and not even picking it up. Like, that's rude. But yeah, that's the most interesting anecdote I have on this entire process. Other than, you know, the near to tears trying to cut all this stuff out. I will say, like, shout out to my friend Albert, because I was like, I need a new X-Acto blade or I'm gonna cry, and he was like, you can sharpen it with sandpaper, which works. And it did help me finish the project with less tears than I anticipated when I started. But it's not like a permanent solution because the blade dulls pretty quickly, so you have to keep sharpening it. But it worked enough for me to get it done without like wanting to die. So, you know, shout out to him for that. So yeah, these, I think I'm just gonna be random about it. This one is a Stephen King quote. It says, "He's not like us. He smiles a lot, but I think there might be worms inside him, making him smile." Which seems appropriate for a little garden theme tag. And can I just say, like, when I start brainstorming these ideas, I try not to get too far ahead. It won't come out. Why? Is it clogged and it's brand new? That's crazy. Hold on. Oh, glue bottle. Doctoring here. If I have to stick something in this, I'm gonna be so mad. Okay, hold on. Yeah. What was I talking about? Albert saved the day. Oh, when I do stuff like these challenges and stuff, is it just janky? I think it's just janky, guys. Okay, that's fine. There's another end. Don't act like it's the only end. You've used the other end successfully, so you know that it works. Yeah, okay. Moving on. I'm gonna have to change the thing. I have an old bottle that I save. Because they make great Mod Podge applicators. Oh, my train of thought. Hold on. Literally took like 5 seconds for me to compose myself so that this guy could put his entire butt in my frame. Thank you. Such a helpful tale. So I try not to think too far ahead when I do these challenges because I don't want to distract myself. So like I don't know if you guys are aware. I think I've mentioned it quite a few times, so it's probably something we're all abreast of. But I have ADHD. And part of the problem with having ADHD, I mean, I don't suffer with it, but part of the problem of having it is that I get distracted. Uh-oh, are we not comfy? That's because your whole butt was in the frame. Yeah, just your toes. Okay. So, yeah, I get distracted by myself with my own ideas, and part of the issue that comes with that is if I have too many creative ideas, and I do, if I start one idea and then I have a different idea that I want to do more, then the current idea that I'm working on becomes trash, and then I have to struggle to get it done. Which happens a lot when I'm like making a book, and then about 75% of the way through, I think of what I want to do for my next book, and then I'm like, I hate this book. I want to throw it away so that I can work on my new idea, my new shiny. And then I have to like really fight with myself and my own like internal monologue to finish it, so that I can do the thing that my brain is like, what if you did this? So like it's the same concept when I do these challenges. I can't look too far ahead on the list to be like, well, what can we do for this prompt and what can we do for this prompt, because then I won't do the stuff for the other prompts that are closer and sooner that need to get done. This one says, you ever feel prickly things on the back of your neck? From The Sixth Sense. That one's good. I didn't even read these particularly. I just cut out the ones that I thought would fit. Thank you, sir. This is my regular struggle. But yes, I just cut out the ones I thought would fit, and they turned out to be pretty good for the prompt. So I try not to look too far ahead to think of stuff to do, which is what lands me in this place where every single prompt becomes a major project. So that's why I was like, I need to make these simpler and start simplifying them, and just, you know, my ADHD laughed out loud because it was like, that's not gonna happen, you know it. This one is so pretty, I had to eat him. But it's like the monster speaking. So this is from a Scott Westerfield thing. So it's all like little big. And it's a snapdragon. The dragon is eating him. That's just, you know, what my brain connected with there. So yeah, like that makes this kind of a little bit hard because I don't know like where I'm going, what I'll need in the future of this challenge. Like I haven't thought very far through it, which is also why, like, you know, when I got to the prompts, I was like, YOLO, like whatever it is, it is, and we'll figure it out when we get there. And then I got there and was like, what the heck? So yeah, that's just, you know, I guess a little bit of insight into how my brain is. It is the same woman I know, for she is always creeping, and most women do not creep by daylight, by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Is this from the yellow wallpaper? It might be. I don't remember who wrote the yellow wallpaper. So, yeah, just, I should do that on Storycraft at some point. Because that story, I believe, is in the public domain. But yes. So, much better than having affection is desirable on all of my cards. So the question remains, I thought about cutting these little corner bits out, because they're little clubs, and they remind me of little, like, shamrocks, and that gives garden. So we're just going to commit to that bit, and I'm going to cut them out a little raggedy. And, like, here's the thing, right? So in my brain, just this would be like, okay, and you're done. You've done all the things. But Shabby Chic says that's not all the things. You need to do 6 more layers of lace, and maybe a ribbon, and maybe a button. And that's where I realized that this aesthetic and I are not maybe the best of friends. Contrary to popular belief, not all maximalisms come together in the end. Particularly because it's not tiny fiddly things, which are my favorite fiddly things. That's interesting. I don't know if I'll keep this together or cut these down even further, but yeah. I like these. So the question is, do I just add, like, a little bit of lace under here, and then make this be the pulley part? I think, yeah? I need bigger scissors. You I don't need. Although, no. I think this one will do the trick. So what I'm going to do is, I want this to be, like, really jagged, so I'm going to fold it, and then maybe get a little twist, and then just let my scissors do the heavy lifting without cutting my fingers off. Jaggedy. I think, yeah, I can maybe fold these together, or just cut this and, like, layer it up a little bit. Jaggedy. That's not a word, but we made it a word. What else can we talk about? This is why you don't normally do these, because you go silent. Let's see. So I don't know what I'm doing for the rest of the month for these in particular. I do know that at the end of the month I will be going to our local Renaissance Festival, which is Robin Hood themed, and I'm very excited about that. Even though I am not excited to see the horses, but I am going with friends, so I won't be alone and accosted by horses. Not that the horses are trying to accost me, just, you know, perpetual state of fear. But I'm excited to do that. I might share some stuff about it afterwards. I don't know if that's even something anyone is interested in, my lived experience of the regular ass Renaissance Festival that I went to. But I don't know. Do you guys like Renaissance Festivals? I love the Renaissance Festival. It's just a fun, good time vibe. I don't know why I did this. There we go. Yeah. Like that. What do you think, bud? Yeah, it's pretty good. He was exploring earlier, since I don't have anything to talk about. I'm talking about my cat. He was exploring earlier and happened to find a little spider web, which was fun and exciting for both of us, because then he was covered in spider webs, and I was worried about getting bit by another spider, because I've been getting bit by spiders lately. And that's not the greatest thing that could happen to me. Not that I particularly dislike spiders, I just, you know, don't love spiders, especially when they're touching me. Crazy, I know. But, yeah, so I got to play the game of get all the spider webs off your cat without getting bit by a spider. Which I think I've won. Time will tell because, you know, sometimes some spider bites are slow burns, but I was more worried about him getting a spider bite because, like, how can I address that? He's a cat. He can't exactly, like, tell me he has a painful spider bite. Or that it's painful, particularly. But he seems to be fine. Obviously, he's very chill. And then I have started a podcast on my Patreon. I think I'm going to make it a twice-a-month affair. And just, you know, talk about stuff that comes up in my life. Things that I think are relevant. It's kind of interesting, and you can preview it for free. So if you are wanting to see if that's something you want to check out, you can check that out. Shameless self-promotion moment. But yeah, it's a... the first episode is up, and I'll do another episode here soon. So that we'll have the 2 a month, because I think 2 a month is what I can commit to now. If I get more traction on Patreon, then I will probably do more there. But I think I'm going to try to avoid talking about movies all the time, but I've had a lot of movies in my mind, and they're usually my favorite things to talk about is, like, movies and pop culture and comic books and anime and stuff like that. Those are my favorite things to talk about. Hate getting this glue on my fingers. That's really helpful, thank you. He's asleep right now. That's unintentional. But that's what I talked about that time, and I think I'm probably going to talk about it again, because I've been rewatching some old movies to see, like, you know, if they still track, if they still carry any weight in my adulthood. And I'm having some interesting experiences with that. Oop, nope, he's awake now. Are you uncomfy, buddy? Let's see, just some pets. There we go. Yeah, that's perfect. Look how comfy you are on top of all of my papers and stuff. So yeah, I've been rewatching some old movies to, you know, see how I feel about them as an adult. And if they're still watchable and things like that. But also, I've been watching movies that, like, I didn't particularly care for when they came out. But they were very popular or, like, cult classics after the fact. So there's an interesting category of movies that you would think I would like, but I didn't actually like when they came out. Outside of maybe some aesthetic things. But currently... but they became very popular after the fact, and, you know, I'm just in that odd man out category, because I'm like, I don't know if I love this as much as everybody else does, but you would think I would, given all the things that I enjoy. Ooh, I like that. And then, watching them as an adult, it turns out I still don't really enjoy them. So, like, I was hoping, like, maybe as an adult watching this with, like, adult brain, I would understand maybe the concepts and themes better, and be like, oh yeah, this movie was actually good all along, and it was just, you know, something I watched when I was too young to understand, like, the nuances of it. Some of these things I still don't like. And then given one of them being up in pulp culture, like, news lately because it's being remade, I won't spoil it because I'm going to talk about it on my podcast. I was like, okay, let me give this a rewatch and see if maybe this time I'll turn around on it. And then it sort of led me down this, like, deep dive rabbit hole where I was like, well, let me learn more about this to see if, like, maybe I'm just not understanding why this is so popular. That's not the case. But my takeaway from this was, like, I do these, like, deep dives on the regular, so having a space where I can talk about it, like a podcast, is kind of refreshing, because I get to share those thoughts with people other than myself, because a lot of that stuff just sits in my brain, and I go, well, you learned something, but you have nobody to share it with. Not that my friends aren't receptive to that kind of stuff, it's just, like, you know, they're not sitting in my living room all day long waiting for me to be like, oh, and you know what else? So, like, you know, there's that. Ooh, I like these guys. These came out really good. Given all the grief that they gave me, I am really happy with these. I really like how these came out. I don't think they need anything else, even though I know that like other stuff could go here. I think what'll happen is I'll probably get some of those page tabs on here at some point, because I think I'm not going to utilize the back. I don't think it's going to be a free-floating pocket. It could be. It could also be like a tip-in, like a flippity-flappity pocket. That's possible. I won't write them off yet, but I feel like I'm not going to use the back in its capacity. I think I'm going to make them like side tuck pockets so more stuff can be loaded behind it. Just because of the nature of how ephemera heavy these books are going to be, I have to think about where all this ephemera is going to go, but I do think that I can't find the thing I'm looking for, which is crazy because there's a bajillion of them in here. But I do think I may just utilize some of these page tabs at some point, maybe. I don't know. This one's too big. But you know what I mean? Like, I might find some use for some of these. That's also too big. But it doesn't really take away from the vibe. I just dropped the whole bag. Or these are also going to be page tuck. So if this is free floating, this could maybe tuck in back here. I'll just have to make sure that the glue on these is really good to hold that in there. But yeah, I haven't decided. So I don't want to add more stuff to it, even though I think like a little bit of stuff would be pretty cool, because I want the pocket to speak for themselves. Also, I can attest to how frustrating this process was, because I forgot to back the inside of the pocket with anything interesting. So it's just a white background, which is fine, because I think it makes the shape stand out with the grungy print of the foreground. But low-key a little bit annoyed that there isn't like a book page background. But that's okay. It's still pretty cool. But yeah, these are cool. So I don't know why I didn't put those in the envelope. Just want to pick it back up. So about 46 minutes in of me rambling, and if you're not tired of it yet, I may just start my next one and finish it off camera. But one of the prompts is where's my marker? Bajillion craft supplies. You don't have a black marker. I bet you he's sitting on it. I bet you that's where it is. It's okay. We have a pen. So that was in the garden. I have this stuff ready for chandelier, so that's what I'm going to work on. I need to make more pockets and stuff. So I have this digital, I forgot the name in my brain, who it belongs to. They also did this one, which is chandeliers. These were full pages. I chunked them down to make them fit the dresses. This was also inspired by a pin, which I will also try to remember to link in this video. Because I like to collect inspiration on Pinterest, and I have a shabby creep like board, and on the board I managed to find a pin of this artist's work who did these mannequins with chandelier heads, and what I was looking for were mannequin digitals on Etsy, and I could not find a mannequin digital, and then I was like, I don't have time to go look and make your own mannequin digital, so I ended up finding these, which are actually, I'm actually happier with, because they're these fancy dresses, and essentially what it was these like mannequin bodies with chandeliers for heads, and I thought that was not like super creepy, but just a little bit creepy enough to be like, yeah. I don't think I'm gonna use all of these. I'm just gonna cut out the ones that I want to use. This came in like a big like ballroom kit, but I only wanted this piece. So the rest of that's just going to sit in my files until one day I'm like, oh, I have this. I have a digital like this. But I like the pink color, but I don't think that's going to work because she doesn't have any arms. And I like this, but I think it's going to be too big for what I want, because I kind of want to make like a narrow-ish, like side tuck pocket thing. Maybe this one. Everybody else has arms, right? Yes. Because I want them to be a mannequin. And then I don't know which one is going to work best. I think, ooh, well that one's going to work for this one. That might be too big. So these are going to be probably a little too big. Oh, I think this one will work. Probably could have shrunk them down even more, but then they would have been the fiddliest things on the planet to cut. And I'm kind of maybe having a fiddly. I also have the black and white as an option. Ooh, okay, okay. So yeah, it's a weird concept, but I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna be really fun. I do like that. I also like the black and white. You can't see it. What do you think? Eh? Eh? Maybe we'll do this one, and then we'll see. Which one did I say for this? This one, right? Ooh, I forgot already. Wait. This and this one. Not this one. This one was this one. Okay, so I think the black and white will work for this one. Okay, yes. We have made decisions. Now we need to commit and remember them. So yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting artist piece, and I was not expecting to like pull so much inspo from it, but I did. And now I'm kind of excited to see where it goes. And an interesting thing that I just learned looking at my like YouTube statistics is that some people find my channel from Pinterest. And I know that I have a couple of pins up there, but I didn't think I had enough to be like drawing any traffic. So it makes me wonder if other people have pinned something of mine, and like that's where people are coming from. Like I don't know where, like which particular pin is drawing the traffic, but yeah, it was just sort of an interesting, surprising thing to see. I did not anticipate that, but it's actually up there in the top like 4 places I think that they showed me that my traffic comes from, including YouTube and Offsite, which is either Etsy or my website linking directly back, and then Instagram. And like if I was better at social media, it'd probably be more places. But yeah, Pinterest was just a surprising one to see up there, which is what made me go like, just go look back at Pinterest and see what's going on there. This is a pretty dress. Like the pattern. So I don't know how interesting it's going to be to watch me fussy cut all these, but you're here, so if you made it this far, I think you might be committed to finishing the video. I don't want this to go over an hour, but, you know, we'll see how it goes. I do want to check where my phone's battery life is, because it would be very unfortunate if I drained my entire phone trying to do this. But I'm not super concerned. My phone usually has pretty good battery. Oh, I just realized I invented a neck for her. For this one. Because that's what some of them are missing. Necks. So we'll see. We'll see. I may come back and refine that shape in a little bit, but for now it works. Yeah, so I have been thinking, because I don't want to spoil what I want to talk about, but I don't think I'm going to talk about this particular topic in my podcast that much. The movie that I was looking at, and then they're doing an updated like remake version of it. The like people are complaining about it because of course, you know, like when it comes to adaptations, people feel very precious about the original, so they get very upset at the idea of it being like tarnished by whatever remake comes after it, which is an interesting concept to me entirely, because I feel like at first I really felt strongly like that, like I felt like in the same thing, like very possessive of the original property and like not wanting to relent or concede that like the updated version could possibly be good because it's not the original. But over time I've sort of unpacked that idea a little bit and have released that idea as something that I need to have or like have to do. I don't have to be upset that they're recreating something that I loved and enjoyed. at some point in time, because, you know, they're just sort of doing it for a modern audience. It's going to reach new people. I actually don't own any intellectual rights to the original property, so it's not my call on, like, what they do with it. And it doesn't change my experiences with the original thing, particularly as far as adaptations go. Like, authors and creators who do heinous shit changes my experience with the things. But, like, getting an updated version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles does not change how I felt about the original Teenage Mutant Turtles, like, cartoon and movies. Those are still mine, and they're still for me, and, like, these new ones are still also for me because I enjoy them. But, you know, if I didn't enjoy them, they would just be for the people who like them, who came after. And I think a really good example of this is the Star Wars movies, especially in regards to the prequels. The sequels are not very well written, and that's, an undeniable fact. But I will say that, you know, for the kids that are watching them, because Star Wars is a children's movie, hot take, I know, but it's true. But for the kids that are watching them, they might get more out of the sequels than the adults who are watching it, because, you know, they're watching it through the lens of childhood, which tends to make things appear better than they are. But, like, the prequel movies were pretty much, like, maligned and super panned when they first came out. People didn't enjoy them. Or if they did, they weren't being openly about it. But as, like, a young person watching them, I really enjoyed them. And then as I got older, I was like, ooh, I see the flaws that everybody was telling me about in this property. So maybe they're not, like, the best. That's where I'm going to cut it. So maybe they're not the best, but they're not the worst either, you know, like, I've definitely seen worse things. I think I'm going to leave these a little bit more loose in my fussy cutting, otherwise I will cry trying to cut all the little dangly bits out. But, you know, like, they're not the worst things that could possibly happen. And they're not the worst movies I've ever seen. They're still pretty good, minus their flaws, and, if you are a fan of Star Wars, they added a lot to the story and the lore, and then the subsequent things that came out afterwards, like the Clone Wars animated series, and, well, mostly the animated series that have come out afterwards, have been really good and enjoyable, and, you know, have successfully, satisfactorily, like, expanded the universe in a way that has been enjoyable and stuff like that. But there's, like, this very unique problem in that universe where people who are fans of the older movies, the original movies, are, like, unrelenting in their hatred of it. And I don't know if Star Wars is the best example, because the fan culture is a little bit toxic. It's a lot of bit toxic. That was an understatement. But whatchamacallit, oh, I could turn it upside down. No, that's silly. So I'm gonna leave that so I can tape it here. Okay, I should have probably done that for this one too. We live and we learn. But, like, every subsequent, like, remake or new movie that gets added, these fans become, like, militant in their hatred of it. Because they're very possessive of the original ones, and they sort of tank the popularity of these new properties and these new movies and things like that because of whatever reason they're using to justify hating on these things, because it's not the original ones that they grew up with and are, you know, in love with. And it's kind of sad. It's something I talked about a little bit when, like, the Marvels came out and everybody hated on that movie because it has women. And, like, they dunked on that a lot, but then we're like, oh, we're going to go watch Madam Web instead, because that one's going to be an actually good movie, because it doesn't star a feminist. Even though, if you've ever listened to Dakota Johnson talk in any capacity, she is also a feminist. She's just not maybe as aggressively feminist as Brie Larson is, but, they tanked that movie because they were mad with their, like, feelings, and, you know, I'm not going to say their feelings aren't valid, I'm just going to say that they're silly. So, like, with the Star Wars movies, you get this, like, group of people who are hating on these properties because it's not their original, and they're so mad about it that they're, like, ignoring what good things could possibly come from these movies and these franchises, and they're also missing the point that, like, this new stuff isn't necessarily for them. It's for, the younger generations who come after. It's for the people who are still interested regardless of, what changes are being made and things like that. So they get so mad and possessive over these things that aren't necessarily being made with them in mind, because it's not the original thing. Like, the original thing has somehow gone somewhere. Because, somebody updated it or changed it or, renewed it or things like that. So for, like, this movie that I'm talking about, that I will talk about in more detail later on my little podcast, people are so upset because it doesn't match the original. They made changes to costuming and stuff, and it doesn't look like the one that they know. And the interesting thing for me is that, in my little deep dive, there's sequels of the original that, like, are pretty much panned. They're bad movies. Not because the concept is bad, but because the movie itself is bad. Like, dialogue, action, those things are bad. But, like, in the sequels, there have been changes made to the original every time. And every, like, aspect of the subsequent sequels has been, like, changed and improved upon for the movie itself. And, all these little minor changes definitely change the way that you can look back on the original property. They're not the same thing, is basically what I'm saying, is that it's not the same, and yet somehow nobody brings those up because they're just so focused on how this remake is different than the original, as if the subsequent sequels and TV show did not, like, take liberty with the property and make their own changes as well. And it just seems to be pretty standard, like, par for the course when it comes to this property in particular. And honestly, in my brain, the more concerning part about this adaptation is that the original creator, like, distanced himself from it and was like, I don't want anything to do with it. That's never a good sign when it comes to adaptation. But then also sometimes the original creators hate what is being, like, adapted, and they're wrong because people objectively like what has been done with the adaptations. I think there's an interesting space in adaptations of, like, written properties, especially, where you have to concede that some things will change for the sake of the visual medium. And I'm okay with things being changed if it, like, improves the story. That doesn't upset me whatsoever. It's when things get changed that have no bearing on the story, and it's, like, an unnecessary change, or, when it actually worsens the story because it takes away from it, which is part of my problem with the Netflix adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender. They just, like, sucked the joy out of the movie, like, out of the original cartoon to make it more dramatic, like Game of Thrones, and I was like, wow, this is a little bleak. This is a little sad. And this is also very dramatic and intense. Not that the original series didn't have its moments of drama and intensity, but, like, it was mitigated by the fact that it was a children's show, so there was a lot of brevity and things like that. So essentially the entire vibe of the show has changed based on the creative choices they made, which has made it not my favorite, but not the worst thing that could possibly happen. And I'm, like, not mad at how they've adapted the new series, but I'm just like, okay, this is a totally separate thing, and I can compartmentalize well enough in my brain that I can let those things go. Like, it's fine. It doesn't upset me. It doesn't impact the way that I enjoy the original property or anything like that. I will still prefer the original series over this one, but I'm not, like, you have to, like, I have to get on the internet and start flaming people because of how they adapted, my precious TV show. And that's just basically the point I was trying to make, is that it's kind of crazy to me, which is what led me down the whole, like, I need to go revisit this particular film and franchise and learn more about it and see, like, what's going on. Because people had very strong feelings. This is where this all gets very fiddly. For somebody who said, I'm going to make the ephemera easier. I said, what if I made it fiddlier? But yeah, that's basically all that's been sitting in my brain currently, is adaptations and the way that people respond to them, and it's what led me down this rabbit hole, and I have lots of thoughts and feelings. If you can guess what movie I'm talking about, you can leave that in the comments below. It's a movie that's coming up, and it is a remake of a movie that was popular in the 90s, and there's been 3 sequels and a TV show made about it. And people on the internet had very strong feelings about just some pictures that were shared about the movie, and I will share all my feelings on those pictures and that particular film franchise probably on my next episode of my podcast. And if you're interested in that, like I said, you can check it out. It's on Patreon. It's available at the $5 tier, and I'm going to do a couple episodes there, and that is like in inclusion. It's included with all the other things, so like the freebies and the crafting video and that kind of stuff is available at the $5 level. And then I have a $10 Grimoire with me level, where I make videos working through my Grimoire, and you can Grimoire along with me and fill up your own magical book. And then I have a $15 level that includes another extra video. All of these levels get their own freebie, like digital freebie, and then at the $15 level, you get another video that is usually witchcraft specific. So you get to like do spell work and things and stuff like that with me there. And then I have a $25 level for the people who are interested in getting personalized tarot readings or oracle readings. It just depends on the kind of reading you want, but I do readings there. And yeah, that's basically a very long commercial for my Patreon, and I think I'm going to end it here because I said I didn't want this video to be longer than an hour, and it's going to be longer, and I will come back at another time to do some more craft with me's for this challenge and more recaps. You can see what I've made. So you're just going to have to wait for the next one to see what I did with these, and what the final product looks like. Sorry about that. I wish I had infinite memory and space and patience to wait for videos to upload to YouTube for a decade, but I don't. So like an hour is pretty much the max that I can endure upload times for. And yeah, that's it for me, guys. If you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate your faces. Smokey does too. And I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Until then, happy crafting. Bye!